No, just kidding. Oh, this is, wow, I can't see you anymore. Anyhow, my name is Marc Friedrich, and I have the honor talking on this legendary day with very important people in my life, with everybody on this stage except with you, Michele. I had an interview on my YouTube channel. I hope Herta Däubler Gmelin is coming to the stage as well right now. I welcome everybody here in the cinema, of course, in beautiful Tübingen, and I welcome everybody on the live stream. Welcome out there. We just saw an incredible good movie, I have to admit. I was really touched, and I cried a couple of times, and I have to say, my deepest respect to all of you, because I think some people will change their mind on everything. One question in German to you guys. Wer von euch ist denn für Waffenlieferungen nach diesem Film noch? I just ask who wants to, who supports weapons to get delivered to war zones, and I think nobody raised a hand so far. I can't see it anyhow, so I just say nobody raised a hand. Okay, that's good. So, okay, everybody is against it, somebody said. That's very good. Okay, perfect. So we're just waiting for the former Ministry of Justice, Herta Däubler Gmelin. She is somewhere. Herta, are you coming to the stage, please? Anyhow, it's an honor talking to you guys, and especially to you, Luis Moreno Ocampo. We already had an interview a couple of months ago on my YouTube channel, and things developed pretty fast in the last couple of months and years, actually. We had a nice dinner this evening, and we talked about the rhetoric, the war rhetoric we're hearing the last couple of months in Europe and in Germany, especially about perhaps war preparations and everything. I'm a child of, it's called Friedensdividende, the dividend of freedom after the Second World War. And for myself, it's horrible actually to listen to this rhetoric of war. And we have to get prepared, and in 5 to 10 years we will be at war with Russia and so on. Do you make the same experience in Argentina or in Malibu or wherever you are, that the rhetoric about war is heating up in the last couple of months? No, you're censored, sorry. You're censored. So, microphone number 5, please.
Okay, now it's working. But for me, it was interesting to watch in the Marcus movie and Michele movie the old wars. Because today we look, we need a war with Russia. We need a war with Hamas. Well, Hamas will not be defeated by war. And in fact, Russia war is going to a nuclear war. So that's a Bob Dylan song, no? Master of war cannot tell us that someone will win a nuclear war. No, they're losers. But for me, the interesting was watching this 20 years, Iraq war, no? And Blair apologizing. Blair was so confident, and yes, go to war, we need to do that for our kids. And then Blair had to apologize, and the worst thing is the US Congress authorized military operation in Iraq based on the wrong assumption. But they found was not true. They don't apologize as Blair did. And it's still ongoing. It's still allowing them to kill people there. So Trump used the Iraq authorization to kill Iranian general there. So my feeling is, when you saw the last wars, you see they were wrong, completely wrong. And today wars are also wrong. War is wrong. It's not particularly one war or the other war.
Yeah, there's a saying, first thing which dies in a war is always the truth, and we know this is actually very legit. Marcus, you're the director of the movie with Michele together, and again, it's a great movie, and everybody should watch it, definitely. What was the intention for you to make this movie?
So actually it was a film I was doing, and that film was called The Heart of Jenin. In The Heart of Jenin, it's about a Palestinian father who has lost his son. He was shot down by the Israeli army, by an Israeli soldier. And he then, instead of seeking revenge, he decided to donate his son's organs to Israeli children. And this decision, which is a decision of reconciliation, of grief, of everything, to reach the hand to the so-called enemy, has done a lot. For example, the film was seen by Louis 2009 in Berlin, and it must have touched him or something like that, because suddenly I became a phone call from him. He wanted to talk to me, and we talked. I went to The Hague. We were, in that moment, that very moment, we were refurbishing a cinema in Jenin, in the very same town where that accident, where that killing happened, because we were also inspired by what Ismail did. So a lot of people were suddenly inspired all over the world. They were inspired by someone who did not seek revenge.
I want to remember, Ben said, revenge creates revenge. It's a total escalation the whole time.
Yeah, so it's exactly like that. And I think Louis was inspired by that. He wanted to talk to me. He had already the delegation, the Palestinian delegation, because once we were in the film, which you saw in the film, because once we were refurbishing the cinema, doing the cinema, there was another Gaza war, the 2008-2009 Gaza war. We experienced that Gaza war, and it came out of the blue. Suddenly, everybody was in favor of war. In 2-3 days, it happened, and so the delegation came to Louis. I mean, Palestine wasn't accepted as a state yet, and they thought maybe the ICC has jurisdiction, is responsible, could do something. But they had to learn, and you can see that in the film, that Palestine wasn't a state, and if they have not accepted the ICC, because they need to be a state in order to ratify the ICC, so in the end, the ICC had no jurisdiction, and he had to transfer it first to the United Nations to decide whether Palestine is a state. And that happened. And that's why today then Palestine has ratified the ICC, and that's why today there is the possibility of jurisdiction. That's why suddenly Karim Khan, the current prosecutor, has the ability at least to see whether there were war crimes on both sides.
Okay, but he did a very long explanation. The topic. I love to present that because Marcus Wetter exposed himself to do this film. I was going in October 22 to Nuremberg, and I was thinking it was an occasion to talk about the aggression war, and asked him, do you know someone with a camera who can film me here? And he came himself. And he was enthusiastic, as he is, and then he kept working, and he produced the film, entire film, financed by himself. Yeah. So that's why
we're here.
Yeah.
No, but that was just much later. I was
trying to make the story shorter.
No, but it's but what is very, very important, when the first time, Michele and myself, because we were both working on the cinema back then, and we decided together to make that movie. When we the first time came to your office in The Hague, we took a taxi, and this taxi driver didn't even know where the ICC was. He didn't know the ICC, even though the ICC was already in existence since 7 years. But now I want to pass over to Mike, because he wants to tell his part.
Yeah, my question is, how did you both guys meet?
Mm-hmm. So in 2009, I was a soldier in Afghanistan, and I served in Kabul for 6 months, and I came back and I wanted to study filmmaking, and I met Marcus in a radio station, and he just came back from Palestine, with the Heart of Janine movie, which I watched then, and it moved me so deeply that I didn't know how to actually react. And then Marcus told me that he has this idea of renovating an old cinema in Palestine, in Jenin. And I thought, okay, I don't study. I just go there and I just follow Marcus. And I just, because from Ismail's gesture that he did, it inspired also me to, like, being a soldier before, seeing war in person on the battlefield, I knew this needs to be different. And that's why Ismail was such an inspiration for me. So I went with Marcus to Palestine, and then Marcus, we became really great friends, and then he asked me to join him to meet Ocampo in The Hague and to actually start the filming with Louis in The Hague.
And you have to tell maybe, because that's also important, you were very young, because we had very young people. They were all helping Cinema Jenin to be built. So, and Louis, he worked with very young people in Argentina, and I think you loved that. You loved the fact that there's suddenly a very young team, except me, was suddenly there.
You're very young for me too.
Yeah, we
Against you, yes.
We felt like the video club Tübingen.
So, but you were in agreement to film, because you were in agreement with him to film ICC. You like ICC filming.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Why?
Because, I remember once we were in a restaurant and you asked me what was the most impressive thing I saw when I came to the ICC, and I was saying the fences, the security of the building. I was like, in that like local thing. I didn't even think further. But after following you and also making this film, it really became such a deep insight. And for me, it was like, I knew exactly we need this institution. This planet needs exactly this institution.
Yeah. That I'm very grateful, because whatever you do, you need people like them, showing to people like them, what is this about? Yeah. So we need many people involved. And he was a soldier in Afghanistan, he was just doing a film in Israel. So each of them took decisions. And that for me is the idea tonight, what you could do, each of you, what we can do together.
Exactly. Everybody of you could be a multiplier and, for example, recommend, of course, the movies of Marcus, or this movie especially, and just talk to the people. It's very important. And I want to remind you, we do a Q&A afterwards, and we also collect questions online. So if you're on the live stream and you have a question, just type it in. And if you have questions, of course, you can ask them later after we finished the panel. So, Mrs. Däubler Gmelin, you used to be the Ministry of Justice in Germany. The title of this movie is called War and Justice. Is there justice in a war?
Of course it is.
It's okay.
We all feel that, but let me first say, I think this movie is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I want to thank both of you that you did it. And of course, His Excellency, I found that wonderful that you participated in that. I have to say, for my history, I first met him in Argentina in his role as a prosecutor in the cases. And here in Tübingen, I have to mention, we all know that Elisabeth Käsemann was killed in this awful dictatorship. So we have a certain relation to that. And thank you so much for your role there. And thank you so much for your role at the International Criminal Court. And you see, for me, let me mention this, has a wonderful personal role as well. As a young law student, I started to support the NGO, let's say, for an international criminal court. It took quite a lot of time. Then I had the chance to participate in the Rome conference as a member of parliament.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Then I met you, and you see, as a minister of justice, I not only had the chance to ratify the Rome Statute, which is a German national law now, and to help to get the court, working, but as well, we started the German International Criminal Code in cooperation with The Hague, so that we can help the ICC with cases which could be or have a certain, let's say, relation to Germany as well. There can be, of course, I think this movie is so good because of 3 points. It's very, very, well, honest. It shows in pictures what war means. And so every one of us has in his head and will never forget what Ben Ferenc said and which you said, that war is the biggest crime against humanity. First, today we know that. Secondly, you did it in a very emotional situation. I found the end of that very good. And you see, I showed this movie to my grandsons, and they understood what you wanted to say. And this with this very complicated and very sober topic of an international criminal code. And then the third point, then I'll stop.
No, it's okay.
No, it is. I hope that this movie will give a starting point to change the rules, meaning for the war of aggression that not only the aggressed country has to be a member, that the aggressor can be put before the court without being a member, because this is what we need. This is my point.
Well, on that point, that I fully agree with you, it's a hypocrisy that there is a law prohibiting aggression, but they decided a procedure that there will be no aggression trial, because the law requires not just the victim, also the aggressor be part of the treaty, and of course the aggressor does not like. But the lieutenant ambassador in New York is in charge to reform this law, the Rome Statute. So something we can discuss, how people in Tübingen could support and create awareness that Germany supports. The problem, I'm teaching in Sao Paulo University, and probably my students are watching this. They can mobilize Brazil too. So we can start to organize people in Tübingen, in Sao Paulo, in different places to transform what is happening. And as you say, sometimes legal reforms are long time, require a lot of time. Okay, we do that. We do the long way. There is one ambassador tasked to do that, so he just needs support. We need to support him. In the meantime, we can work a lot to transform the Gaza war, to transform the Ukrainian war, the Syria war, the Karabakh wars. That's something we can discuss later.
Absolutely. So last couple of months, there were some really exciting developments. For example, the ICC, Mr. Khan, just prosecuted the leader of Hamas and Benjamin Netanyahu. So what's your take on this? Was this a brave decision? Will Netanyahu be, for example, arrested at the airport in Berlin, or what is your expectation?
Well, I'm very grateful because for me, it's very good for my mental sanity. This is a crime, and it should be investigated. That's so clear, and the person in charge, the prosecutor, is saying that. It's great. He did it in a very interesting way, because he requests a panel of experts helping him to review the evidence. And the panel includes Judge Fulford, the judge that you saw a little unhappy with me. Judge Fulford is one of the members of the panel. Amal Clooney is there. But for me, the most Elizabeth Wilkhurst, who is the deputy legal advisor who opposed the Iraq war. So very critical people are there. But Theodore Meron is one of the advisors. He born in Poland in 1930, so he was, as a child, victim of the Nazis. He was in a labor camp, Nazi labor camp. He was a victim of Holocaust. He became a lawyer. He advised the Israel and the US government. So this guy, who is not, he is Jew, Nazi victim, Holocaust survivor, he's the one saying this is a good case. Now, the judges will decide. And the Congress, a few days ago, the House in the US requested to sanction the prosecutor for doing that. How the US Congress, the beacon of freedom, democracy, and justice, could try to sanction not the perpetrator, the court, who is saying, hey, this is a crime. I don't understand that. But I think it's an opportunity, and something maybe I can explain better is it's not just what judges will do. Because, for instance, Netanyahu is complaining that he's indicted. And Secretary of State Blinken is talking, saying, oh, it's a mistake because Prosecutor Khan had to apply the principle of complementarity. And it's good that he knows the principle of complementarity, but that principle requires to respect any genuine national proceedings. And there's not national proceedings in Israel. That's why Khan was perfect. He did. But an Israeli prosecutor could stop this investigation, starting a case. Netanyahu, instead to complain, he can go to the Israeli prosecutor and say, look, investigate me. I am investigating me. So Israel could do that now. And of course, it has to be a genuine investigation, and the ICC will monitor that. But that is a way, not with the Congress, US Congress sanctioning judges. That's the legal way to do it. Netanyahu, go to the Israeli prosecutor, tell him, investigate me, and that will be informed to the prosecutor or the ICC judges, and they will stop, because legally, if there is a genuine investigation in Israel, the ICC will stop. Then Hamas leaders, they can send a lawyer to ICC telling them, don't issue a arrest warrant. I am in Qatar, I can take a plane, come here, and appear for you, voluntarily. This could happen in Darfur case, happen in the Kenya case, so he could do that. And use the court to present whatever crimes he believes Israel committed, and explain himself why you commit this genocide against Israeli people. So that's the point for me. The court is not just a court, it's not what the court is doing. We need to understand how to use the court to replace war for justice.
Yeah. The thing is, okay. The thing is, the reaction of Netanyahu and the Hamas was, of course, totally different. Netanyahu didn't take a lawyer and go to the court and tell them what really happened. So, Mrs. Däubler Gmelin, what's your take on this, that now the ICC and Mr. Khan is brave enough, because many people were very surprised that he indicted Mr. Netanyahu and the leader of the Hamas. What's your take on it as a former Ministry of Justice?
Well, you see,
It's okay, it's working.
I think it's working, yeah.
I've always said that the ICC is not a political institution, but it's a strictly legalistic institution, and they follow their precise rules. There are precise rules where they are in charge and where they are not in charge. In both cases, they are in charge. And I think it was, sorry to say that, I don't want to flatter to you too much, dear friend, but it was a
You're both married.
Yeah, a genial stroke that you send the Palestinians to the General Assembly. Now, you see, the complementarity is a question, and we talked about that before, and I found it most interesting that Luis Moreno Ocampo said, well, he is not quite sure what Netanyahu, fears more, the Israeli courts or the International Criminal Court. I think you should, let's say, tell us a bit about that, because there is a lot of truth in it.
Well, Netanyahu, before the invasion, was fighting with the court in Israel. If he wanted to avoid the ICC prosecutor, he had to accept Israeli prosecutor. I don't know what he prefers, but that's a real option. That's why the idea that the US Congress is protecting Netanyahu is, for me, incredible. How the world is not understanding what is happening. What is this? That's why we need to keep understanding this. Stopping Hamas is important. And in fact, another idea, Hamas is organized crime. So you cannot defeat organized crime killing the soldiers. You cannot defeat the drug dealer putting in jail the people selling on the street. You have to go to the bosses, and in particular, you have to go against the money. And Israel is not doing that. It's a military approach, just bombing. So, and the information is there's a company in Turkey providing money to buy the weapons. As soon as if you are not stopping this company, Hamas will recover in a few months. and will be much bigger. So that's why justice is not that about nice things, it's effective things. That's why another idea is use ICC to conduct investigations against those providing money to buy the weapons. Thank you. That's obvious. And we are not doing that. So the ICC is showing the intervention of the ICC is not just good in moral or legal terms. It could be very different efficiency. However, people, Netanyahu can kill 50,000 more people. Hamas will still be back.
We saw one scene in the movie where this American guy came to you in Nuremberg and said he's scared we're so close to the next war, to the Third World War, like never before in his lifetime. And I know many people here feel the same, because we have all these wars in the world, and in Ukraine, of course, but also in Israel, Palestine, and so on, in Yemen, Syria. There's so many wars all over the place. But now we feel it even here in our oasis, because like I mentioned, the rhetoric of the politicians in Germany, even from left-wing parties, from the Green Party, which used to be a peace party, but this is over, is now asking for more weapons for war and so on. And if you, for example, say you're for peace in Germany, you get defamated. You like they call you right-wing or supporter of Putin and so on. Okay, we get censored. So, and I hear this from everywhere. So many people are scared, actually, because there is in the news people who say we have to get ready for war, and they want to actually reinstall the military service in Germany, which was abolished a couple of years ago. There is a German politician. She's called Strack-Zimmermann. They all call her Strack-Rheinmetall. She just asked a couple of days ago that we have to bring back 900,000 reservists. So you see, it's heating up. Today, the biggest German yellow-page newspaper, Bild-Zeitung, just said here, this is what's happening if Putin attacks Germany. Don't go to the bunker. We don't have bunkers, but go to your cellar. So it's getting more and more ridiculous. It's more framing, more nudging to prepare the people. So can you tell the people something they can do to keep and protect peace and fight against this rhetoric and against war?
Well, first point is Putin committed crime of aggression. That's clear. It's absolutely an aggression against Ukraine. However, the answer for that should be better than just war, because since in June 2022, there were clear reports saying, okay, this is the situation. We cannot defeat the Russians, remove them from where they are. It will be difficult for them to keep advancing. They will not. So it's a time to make a negotiation for peace. That was 2 years ago. Thousands of people killed in the middle. And billions spending on that. And now using the threat to convince Europe to go to war. Someone say, oh, we'll protect Ukraine until the last Ukrainian soldiers die. Okay, we don't need more Ukrainian soldiers dying. We really need a negotiation. How difficult negotiation will be, that's different. But we need one. In my case, in Darfur, was a genocide. And Obama did a negotiation, okay? So, if you can negotiate a genocide in Darfur, why you cannot negotiate a peace in Ukraine? Come on.
Michele, I want to ask you, you joined the German army, you went to a war, and then you saw a totally different side of everything. You went to the ICC, you shot this movie. So what changed in your view? Would you join the army again? Would you go to a war zone again? So please tell the people.
What changed? I would go to the military, but not as a soldier, more as an advocate for how to solve these kind of conflicts in a different way, without going to the war zone and without delivering weapons, without supporting the mass Aufrüstung, englisches Wort.
Sorry?
To arm, yeah, to arm, like to the countries, to arm the countries to actually go to war.
To be clear, if you want to stop, you cannot be a general to stop the war. You have to be a politician.
Yes.
Yes. The generals are doing what the politicians are doing. So for me, the issue is how politicians in the short term are winning votes for going to war. That's the problem. We need to present that clearly. It's not could not be a popular idea to go to war. It costs you in life and in money. And Bob Dylan saying clearly how you cannot win a nuclear war. You cannot win this kind of wars. Everyone will lose. So the idea to prepare to a Russian war, I think it's insane. It's insane. What the options? Explore the options, discuss the options, negotiate the options, but war with Russia could not be a goal.
As you were the Ministry of Justice in Germany, it was under the Chancellor Gerhard Schröder, and there was also the Iraq war going on, and we didn't join in. So you were inside, actually, the power and the government. So were there discussions about let's join or we can't, or was there pressure from the US and from the UK that Germany joins the war? And what was the decision that made you clear that you said, okay, we won't join this war, and we just say the US, our big brother, no, we won't join the war in Iraq?
Oh, at that time it was very simple. There were quite a lot of journalists that didn't like, let's say, me saying this. But at 2002, I said very loud that Bush started or planned an aggression war against Iraq and against international law. Today, everyone says this. But
Bush said that. Bush confesses in the movie. Bush confessed.
Yeah. Who did I say? Bush, yeah.
Bush say an autocrat
we saw it in the movie.
I saw
he made a Freudian slip.
At that time, you see, in Germany, it was not clear that this was an aggressive war against Iraq, against the international law. Today, everyone knows it. So it was not Putin that started this way of aggressive wars, but it was, of course, in former times, and it was one of those was Bush 2003. We know this quite well. And it was possible to convince not only my party or the government, but the whole public, that we shouldn't join this. But I know quite well, we had quite a lot of discussions at that time with our British friends. And I found it very interesting that in the movie we could see 2016, Tony Blair say that he was absolutely wrong. It's good that he said that. But it would be bitter if the aggressors were, let's say, in the charge of the court. We need this changing of the rules. This is a very important point, not only because it's a legalistic thing, but you see, now we have the Russians, the Chinese, the Americans, and I could say the Indians as well, who think, well, the ICC is a court for others, not for us. And only if we put aggression under the charge and let's say, of the court, the risk would be there that the aggressor could say, okay, I don't know if I do this, whether I'll be, let's say, put before the court or not.
But what has to happen that the statute will be expanded?
No. What do you mean with that? That this regulation, that this change is made. I think we need an initiative to the state community that is, let's say, supporting the independent International Criminal Court, and I hope that this evening is a starting point for that. And I feel that your film, all of you three, is a very good starting point for that. For me, it's some sort, let's say, of a clear Auftrag.
Yeah. So what should happen right now, actually? What can we do to achieve this goal?
Let me answer that, because there's one ambassador in charge of that.
Which one?
Liechtenstein ambassador.
from Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein
It's a
ambassador.
very small country in Europe.
I know.
Why is it so important?
The good thing is
Money.
No, the Liechtenstein ambassador Liechtenstein is so small. Germany can take Liechtenstein in 20 minutes, so that's why they need a law, and they have a very smart ambassador in New York before the UN. He's a real permanent representative because he's there for the last 20 years, so he knows everyone. Christian Benavesser. Christian Benavesser is the ambassador in charge of this. He's totally committed with that. He's working on this for the last 12 years. I met him on Sunday because on Sunday there was a memorial for Ben Ferenc. I feel bad because I did a joke in the movie about when you will die. He was 92 and he lived another 11 years. It's great. And we remember Ben, who had a clear vision, the real strategy. And Benavesser was there, and he, in agreement with you, he said, we had to transform the statute. I need help. But because this conflict, countries are dividing now. Brazil, South Africa are not so happy with the men. So we need to help him to build the majority.
How can we help him?
Well, I think each of you could move. She can move Germany. Each of you can organize. And he will talk to Christian. He will try to show the movie in the UN. And we start to mobilize countries. I think this is the beginning of Tübingen, at the beginning of transforming the world, okay?
It will
How do we went here?
Yeah, it will be called the Tübingen Peace Treaty or something like that. And you can be the change, actually. And I think it's...
You like war in Tübingen? No. The only way to stop a war in Tübingen is to stop wars everywhere. That's the way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we all see it's a historic moment and it's a paradigm shift is happening, and we all said something's changing. This evening, Mrs. Däubler Gmelin said she feels something is changing. We all feel it, I guess, and it's why all the people are here. It's incredible that we're sold out and that so many people are on the live stream, actually, because people are awake. They feel something is changing, and they don't want to have war. I don't know anybody who thinks war is a great idea or delivering weapons and so on. But what can each individual actually do right now, except, for example, sending an email to this ambassador from Liechtenstein and say, hey, great job, keep on doing it?
Well, no, but the idea that we are not alone is important.
We're many.
When I call Marcus to help me in Nuremberg, I'm feeling, he was very supportive. Then Marcus started the movie, and he received more support, and Michele would support. He said, yeah, I'm on board. So, and look today, we're presenting the movie before 500 people, and Tübingen is with us, so we're moving. And there are many people around the world. I have 25 students at Sao Paulo who will be totally in support of it. And they could mobilize Sao Paulo University. And so we can start the movie, this movement here. I think you can support, there's one hashtag. The hashtag is helping to measure who is supporting. You can start to put your comments on the movie in the Twitter, in Facebook, in the different platforms you are using.
The hashtag is Together for Peace.
Exactly. You mention what you feel today, why this thing is connected with you, your personal story, and use the hashtag and put it. And then we'll be at the beginning 500, then next month will be 2,000, and then will be 2 million. And then when we're 2 million, that will be different.
Definitely. So one day we look back and we say, hey, I was there in Tübingen at
Yes,
this historic
exactly.
moment, especially.
Yes. Yeah, take a picture. Yeah.
We will. Marcus, so are you surprised about the positive reviews you got in the German newspapers the last couple of days?
Yes, actually, yes. I would say, ich habe den Atem angehalten. You say, I was holding my breath, because it was a very crucial moment in the last 5 days. Because, of course, I knew that this film is going against the tide. It's going against maybe, against that what some people are thinking or what is discussed. But for us, it was always important to be really in the middle. We didn't want to show either extreme, because I think the truth is in the middle. I mean, we have the appeasement politic. We went through that. That someone had to stop Hitler. So there's so many arguments, and good arguments or reasonable arguments for war, and they are right now provided. It is, for example, that we had to stop Hitler. It is also to be in solidarity with the country. All these arguments I understand, and there's this Goering saying, when he said that, how did you get your people to war? And there's this other argument, if you are attacked, you have to preempt, because you will be attacked. And right now there's this narrative that we may be attacked by Russia. And yeah, that's a reason for a lot of people to say, okay, what shall we do? The same in Palestine. I mean, you have now very extreme people on both sides. You have Palestinians who say, okay, now from the river to the sea, because with this Israeli government, you cannot make anything, so we have to take everything. And the other side is saying you have to get rid of all the Hamas people. So both sides are suddenly becoming very extreme and hopeless, in a certain way hopeless, because before there was hope, and we were doing things according to our hope. But now this, that's gone, and we have to retake it. And this is why we have now a certain attitude towards war, but we have to rethink that attitude. And I think this film is helping, because there's a lot of arguments why you may consider to rethink what you have thought
Marcus,
before.
Why did you include Bob Dylan song? Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, the Bob Dylan song, it was like that. I was talking to Joanna Friedrich, the woman in the assistant of Louis, and she was just listening to that song in that very moment. And we both said, wow, do you remember that song? Yeah, I said, yeah, wow, I remember. I was listening to it, I was listening to the lyrics in that moment, and I thought, wow, this is exactly what's happening.
And exactly, I think, putting that in the artistic situation of the last sequence with a golden thing, I think it was Michele's idea, wasn't it? Yeah. So he should tell us a bit about more about that, because I feel this one makes a very, very lasting impression. And this, let's say, the picture and the music, I think, will be of a great effect for young people as well. And perhaps it would be possible to learn a bit, how did you come to this idea and to transfer that into artistic situation of this movie?
So Marcus called me and said, there's this song he just heard. And of course I knew the song, but I haven't heard it in like a long time. And then I was listening to it and I was thinking, that's the conclusion of this film. Yeah. This is exactly what we're telling. And we were thinking about how to do the credits, like, what are we using? Are we using archive material, different things? And then I just thought, no, like, war is about money. And there's a lot of interest to not end war because of money. So for me, that always felt, in a weird sense, golden. And that's why I came up with this golden thing that I thought, okay, I would like to recreate exactly the moments that we saw in the film that were so touching and so tough on, like, to watch, to recreate them in this golden style with the song of Bob Dylan, really concluding the film.
And what's the new version? The new version?
There's actually a really good anecdote, because we had to get the rights for the song. And I got in contact to the manager of Bob Dylan. It was very hard to get that contact. And I wrote him, and he said, yeah, they sold all the rights to Sony. So we had to approach Sony. And there's two rights. There's the performance rights and the song lyric rights. So the performance rights, I wrote to Sony, and they said, oh no, we can't get that, it's too political. We cannot even buy them. But the other department, for the lyrics, they said, yeah, you can get them, but for quite a lot of money, $15,000. And we didn't have so much money. I was asking Louis, I was asking everybody. So in the end, we didn't get it. We paid it privately to get the lyrics rights. And then we let someone else perform the song, because that song is not from Bob Dylan, it's from another singer-songwriter. And we thought about making a campaign with that. But then we thought, no, let's not do that. Let's not play that game, and let's not go against Sony. It will be the wrong message in the end. But for this moment, it's a good anecdote because it's like that. I mean, he had 40 years ago, or 50 years ago, whenever he wrote that song, he had that crazy idea, and now, and it's an artistic idea, and now he's not anymore able to use it because it's being said that it's too political.
But it's a timeless song. Everything is true in this song. Everything.
And
every word.
I would like to add something to that. So regarding the campaign that we now looking to do, we are getting people from all around the world now to perform this song, to sing it, to like, and we are recording that. We are making like a really beautiful video with so many people actually delivering this message. So that's what we are working on at the moment also.
Perfect. So please, if there's any capable singer in the audience or on the live stream, feel free to sing the song, send a video to Michele or to Marcus, and they will make a clip out of it. So perfect, yeah, definitely. So I think this is a really important message in this movie, that every war actually starts mostly because of money. It's always the foundation of many, many wars, because there is always somebody who makes a shithole lot of money. So, Luis, we talked about it. You told me in our conversation, because we had a really beautiful interview on my YouTube channel, and people really liked it, and they were surprised what you said. But yeah, you are a former prosecutor of the ICC, so you can talk to everything you want to, actually. So you told me that you think the US has no interest in stopping the war in Ukraine because they make too much money because of selling gas to Germany, weapons to both sides, perhaps. So perhaps you elaborate this a little bit.
You are the economist, so I like you can make the numbers. But my feeling is, what I say is, it's not about having a real war. It's very good for the weapons industry to have a possibility of a war. That is the best business. And now Finland, Sweden, Germany are buying weapons. Japan is buying weapons. So the market is going up. And imagine the last agreement in the US to give money to Israel, 70 billion, the money will stay in the US because the money is to buy weapons in the US. So all these wars are pretext that the US money is going to the weapons industry, who are, by the way, they control the Congress because they provide, the US weapons industry, the weapons industry in the US is established in different states. So they have, each state have a big company. So that's why they have a big influence. So, okay, we understand that. We need now organize ourselves to counterbalance this pressure and understand the game. But Europeans have to understand, if your country, how much money you say, 1 trillion?
Over $1 trillion. Yeah.
Okay, the countries are paying so much money on weapons, that money is your education. That money is your health. It's not just killing. It's your next generation will be worse. So that's why it's a very important debate. And it's not just about Gaza or Ukraine. It's about life here in this beautiful city.
I think it's money and power. Yeah. And you see,
Yeah, you're great.
this is not very
Great,
new. Well, it's not very new. You see, even Mr. Eisenhower told us about the military-industrial complex.
Yes.
So I think that both elements are very clear in this song, and I find this.
Eisenhower, because Bob Dylan made the song following Eisenhower's speech. Explain to them the Eisenhower speech. Explain to them when Eisenhower made this statement.
Yeah,
Explain to us.
elaborate, please, to the audience what Eisenhower said on his farewell speech as a president.
You see, Eisenhower used to be a big shot, a military shot in the World War II on the American side. Yeah. He was absolutely victorious, as we know, and very strong. And after he became president, he saw about the dependency of political power to military and industrial situations, and he made a big warning before that.
Yeah.
And I think at that time this was true, and it's true today.
Much more.
Even more.
Much more. Well, you have to understand, until Second World War, US had not a permanent army. So the permanent army was built after Second World War because they feel, okay, twice we had to go to war without being prepared. So this time we'll be prepared. And that was the rationale. And Eisenhower understood the rationale, but we are building an industrial military system that will control the politicians. And that's what he foresaw in the 50s, and that is a song that Bob Dylan created to follow that. And that is today a reality. That's why it's very good that the song is back.
Yeah. So we see now that the world is changing in total. We see deglobalization. We see the hegemon, the US, is actually fading away. We see the emancipation of the BRIC states, of emerging markets. We see countries in the world, especially, for example, India, China, also Saudi Arabia, who say we don't want to use the petrodollar anymore. We use different currencies or gold or Bitcoin for deals in commodities. So a lot is changing. Some people say we don't use the US dollar anymore. So you think this is also a foundation for more conflicts internationally when countries start to using, for example, not the petrodollar anymore, different currencies, and we see the hegemony of the US fading away?
Well, no, it's not. Albert Einstein in 1932 said a global system based on sovereign state is unstable, will create wars between states, and that's why he was suggesting to invent something supranational. The UN was created, but it's not a model that respects the individual state. It's a model to respect the interests of 5 countries, has veto power. So that's why in Gaza, there were different Security Council decisions where 90% of the world is saying stop, and US veto. And it's legal, because that's a UN system. The UN system is a system managed by the interests of 5 big countries. That's why the innovation of the International Criminal Court is that. It's the first institution that is adding to the national state, who are very important to establish peace inside the system, something bigger, to establish peace in the global system. And what is new is a confederation of states, national states, including Germany, including all Europeans, South Americans, Africans, Japan, Korea, plus an independent International Criminal Court who has to do exactly what Karim Khan did. When no one conducted investigation in Palestine, he did it. So that's the new thing, but it should not be the last thing. So what we need to work is to build a new institutional system to manage climate change. Climate change is not changing because no state fulfills their obligations. Because there are peers and no one controls them. That's the difference. ICC, there are peers, but one institution, the Prosecutor Office, controls them and intervene and transform the game. So it's not just about good intention, it's about legal designs. But lawyers, we are not thinking on that. We are not discussing global issues the proper way. That's why there are many things to do. But if you're in Tübingen, in a movie theater, what you can do is promote the movie. And you have your expertise on economic, do a good analysis of the economic of the goal that he presented. Where is the money coming? How much, who is making the money with this war? And how is influencing leaders in Europe?
That's a different discussion. We have to talk about this on a different location.
It's complex.
It's not very complex, but it's not very popular.
Yeah.
To be honest. And for example, I told you about this one liberal politician, Mrs. Strack-Zimmermann, and she, for example, she's a politician. She's running for office right now in the European election in next Sunday, and you all should go to vote here to stop von der Leyen and create democracy. But anyhow, and she is actually a lobbyist of German military foundations. It's not no joke, and this is very dangerous.
That's the point. They are very well organized. In those pro-war are very well organized. We have to do something our side.
So always ask somebody, why is somebody doing something? So cui bono in Latin, it says, what's behind it? Why is Mrs. Strack-Zimmermann saying we need 900,000 soldiers and we have to send more weapons and so on? Perhaps there is money behind it, and then you see there are companies behind her who give her money or sponsor her. So before we come to your questions, and we still collect them, and if you're online, please type your questions. We collect them. We will ask everybody here on the panel, and you can in a minute we have a microphone here. You can ask your question to anybody on the panel. My last question is actually, how can we prevent war? What would you recommend for everybody to do that we not slipping into a war in the next couple of years? And I would like to start with you, Marcus, just a short answer, and then we go all around.
I think it's us, the people. It's our stance towards war, and this is the rethinking process. We have to think on both sides, and then understand the arguments. That's what I think everybody can do. Actually, we have now here in Tübingen 3 other films. That's the Heart of Janine film, the Cinema Janine film, and a third film actually about an Israeli woman who, after she understood what Ismail was doing, and her husband was killed in a suicide attack, and she decided to go to Jenin to meet the suicide bomber's family. And what unifies these 3 films, and also this film, it's people who try to break this vicious circle of violence. And I think these stories are so important, and they have to be told, they have to be seen, and they don't have to be dismissed as naive, because something like that cannot be naive. We need that naivety. That's what we live from, actually. So I think it's the stance of the people who could change it. Not only the politicians, it's us, what we think about war.
Yeah, beautiful.
I will use Leo Tolstoy. Is okay?
Oh, yes, of course. But he's Russian, you know. It's not very popular here in Germany. But yeah, go for it.
He died years ago. I don't think he was supporting Putin.
We don't know.
Whatever.
No, but we're real Democrats, so you're allowed to read Tolstoy.
Thank you for your tolerance.
I'm very
really impressed. Okay. Leo Tolstoy explained in War and Peace, the movement of nation is caused not by power, nor by intellectual activity, nor even by a combination of the two, as historians have supposed, but by the activity of all the people who participate in the events. So the people who participate in the events transform history. So it's our decision.
Always.
Should I participate in the events or not? Marcus did his job. He participated in the event doing the movie. We cannot ask him more. So each of us could do its part and participate in the event. It's not mandatory for us, but we can do it, and that's the way to do it. Knowing that even if we stop the Ukrainian war, it will be a different conflict. It's not that you never will win to establish respect for rights. There will be always some abuse. So it's a battle. When I was a prosecutor in Argentina, I was thinking, wow, we transform Argentina into Sweden. No, Argentina is still a mess, but there are no more massive crimes. So we want that. But you have to keep fighting. So you never win the battle for justice, but you lose the day you decide not to participate. The day you give up, that's the day you lose. That's why the advice is participate in the event, never give up.
It's definitely our duty to do this, and there is a yeah, but there's a saying in German. It says, "Stell dir vor, es ist Krieg und keiner geht hin."
Meaning?
It means imagine there is a war and nobody goes there, and the leaders are just alone there, and nobody joins them to fight. So I think there's a lot of truth into it.
But that works in aggressive war, not in defensive wars.
True story. Yes.
So,
but it's still, if there's no soldier on both sides, the leaders. If the leaders would be on the front, there would be no war. Imagine any leader, Putin or Macron on the front fighting or in a cage. They can do it like this.
But that is the ICC. The ICC put the leaders on the front.
Exactly.
That's the ICC. And you know, we are
They
not,
should go in front of the ICC.
yeah,
That's it.
they, are
Right
not,
there.
they will not be killed. They are just maybe in jail. But
Yeah.
That's it.
Perfect. So, Mrs. Däubler Gmelin.
Well, it's difficult to top this.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No. But you see, it wouldn't be me if I had nothing to, let's say, to add. But
I'm afraid of that,
Yeah.
yes.
That's okay.
I knew it.
you know, I'm a fan of international law.
Yeah.
That's why I'm absolutely a fan of a better cooperation in Europe on the basis of human rights and the European Charter. And I'm an absolute fan of strengthening the UN system. We can see that because of the Security Council, it's not possible that they perform in the way which they should perform. They cannot hold the promise to keep the peace. And that's why we need the restructuring of the Security Council. It's a very important thing. And the second thing, what we need is to give more power to the General Assembly. These two things, I think, could help to prevent war. At the moment, we have to work very hard to get in this direction.
Yeah. And perhaps the third point, talk sense to your ex-colleagues at the SPD, to Pistorius and
He
Schröder.
always thinks that I'm in the government. I'm not at the moment.
But you're a member of the party, aren't
yes,
you?
and you are not, I know, but I'm responsible for everything, but it's not the first time that I'm, let's say, saying what I mean, okay?
Yeah.
That's
I
nice.
know,
Yeah.
definitely. Perfect. This has to be a short on YouTube. Last but not least, the famous Michele.
Yeah, that's really, really difficult to top this.
But you're from a soldier, you can do that.
Yeah. And I have a certain point that I think we should think about, and that's exactly what the movie promotes. We should change that little part in the Rome Statute to actually get started on that, to get aggressive wars being prosecuted by the International Criminal Court. And I will use my art form for the future to always work and use it to promote peace.
I don't know how you feel, but I think there's a very positive energy in this room, also on this stage, and I'm very grateful and honored having you on this panel. And I would like to hear your questions right now to all these people on this stage. If you have a question, we have the microphone somewhere. Some people already getting up. Where's the microphone? Or is there already a question from the live stream? Perhaps somebody can tell me. People are leaving. Okay, that's not a good sign. But do a rally right now for peace, please.
Okay.
So is there any question?
Well,
Check.
Okay, the microphones are on the side. If you have questions, just
go to the side.
go to the side, and then please
I have one.
tell your name, your age, and
Age?
the age. How old are you? It's very interesting. And of course, who should answer the question, please?
My name and age. Well, I'm Karina, I'm 30 years old, and I first want to thank you so much for this important movie. Before I put my question, I want to say when you were talking about what every one of us can do, I have something to add, I have something very concrete. Not only can we be multiplicators, on this Saturday, the 8th of June, the Bundeswehr will have a propaganda day in Stetten am Kalten Markt, right around the corner, Tag der Bundeswehr. And there will be a protest from 11:30 to 2 p.m. there. People will meet at the main station in Tübingen at 9:20 to go there, or at 8:20 at Stuttgart main station. Anti-militarism is not doing itself. We have to do it. We have to be loud. Question? My question, if you still want to hear it, there are statements by lawyers and anarchist organizations that the juridification of political and social issues is taking, in fact, responsibility of every member of society, every one of us. Instead of having a shared feeling, a sense of community and responsibility, we take more and more to courts, sue one another, rely on law. But laws, you know, are not making it themselves, they do not fall from heaven. And when it comes to war, you said it, there are reasons, roots, money, racism, nationalism, patriotism, warmongering, media, exploitation of land and people, the political decision to make rich people richer and richer, and poor people poorer. So we all have, in fact, a responsibility. What are your thoughts on this juridification statement? How can we counteract on this decline of responsibility? How do we give more power to the people?
Well, thank you. Can you ask him? Yes. Well, it's great because the law is not for judges or prosecutors. The law is for the people to protect themselves and to put limit to the leaders. When I took office, I told the judges the best outcome of this court would be 0 case. Either because there was no case, no genocide, or because the national authorities are investigating them. So I truly believe in the idea, no, not judgments, no. It's about preventing crime. It's about making clear to the politician it's a limit you cannot cross. That's the concept. And if you're a citizen, the way to protect yourself is the law. That's the only concept to protect you. So that's why I agree with you. It's not about doing cases. It's about not doing cases. It's about no crimes, no wars, no genocide. That's the goal.
Another question?
That's what is important. Yeah. No, it's not about the ICC itself. It's about the model, having laws to protect people.
Okay, Marcus is providing his microphone. He's totally desperate. Actually, one question. Is the press here, the media? Please, I can't see anything. Just say yes or no. No? Okay, that's a pity because it's a very important topic, I think, but all right. So, next question, please.
Okay, so you say that the reason for war is money and power, but I think that comes from a Western perspective because many times I hear the reason for war is an ideology. For example, Hamas is an ideology, and then I ask myself, if that's the point, the very notion of material conflict gets meaningless, right?
Who should answer your question? Anybody or Mrs.
Luis.
The one with the glasses.
Luis. Yes. You should answer.
I don't know. Listen, I did not understood the question. Can you repeat the question? No. Summarize the question.
Can you?
Wir können die nicht sehen. Das ist
Yeah. Come on, Marcus.
sehen auch sehr schlecht nur.
Can you?
I don't know.
Very short and loud, please.
Okay, so Hamas is often described as an ideology, and then I just ask myself if that's the point. The very notion of material conflict gets meaningless in a war. That's a question.
Yeah. No, I agree on that. So Hamas is not about money, it's about ideology and religion. They believe the Israelis are intruders in Holy Land, as the Crusaders were. And they don't know if in this generation, next generation, but they have to expel them. That is wrong. That's the problem. That's simply wrong. Maybe Israelis have to respect the Palestinian, yes, but Israel has to respect the Palestinian right, but now Palestinians have to respect the Israeli rights. That's both, and Hamas has to understand that. So it's a limit for Hamas. You cannot do that. You cannot kill people. You cannot kill Israelis to impose your idea, to protect your people. So that's it. Sorry? No, in particular, that's why we have to be very firm. If we are not very firm with the law, okay, then it's no solution for with the law, and the people go to weapons. No, we have to be very, very firm with the law and making clear the law is making peaceful the solution. It's not, with no law, there's no solutions. That's why Hamas has to understand we like to respect the rights of Palestinians. Palestinians deserve the rights, but you will not get that killing people. That's it.
I've got one question from the live stream.
Yeah, thank you.
I just ask one question from the live stream.
No?
Okay, you go first, sorry.
Thank you. I have a question, but upfront, let me thank you very much, Marcus and Michele, for this great artistic work. There's two sides of the medal. First is the legal or the ratification view. Second view is the society. You are here to stop wars, to produce justice, and you did a great artwork to support this message, and I would like to thank you. My question is, what is your realistic version of the ICC in the year 2050? Where is the growth? Where is the influence? Where's the power?
2050.
Yeah.
Well, let me say something. In 2005, a journalist asked that exactly question to my people. And a nice lady from Australia say, well, in 2050, this building will be a museum. People will come to see how in the past humanity was solving conflicts and why the city was created. But that would be a museum. That's what she was envisioning. I don't think we are going exactly in that direction. But the issue is not about the ICC. The issue is about states not promoting wars. And citizens not voting for leaders promoting wars. That's what we need. It's not about the court. It's about how we manage our leaders and our interaction.
I would like to add something, if I may. Yes, sure. Thank you. Sure. You see, you need not only a vision, but you need quite a lot of patience and not to drop out fighting for the influence of the ICC and for the international law. May I give you an example? I think it was in 1874 when the second president of the International Committee of the Red Cross, he said, okay, we can write on paper quite a lot of wonderful international conventions, how to behave in war, and how to protect civilians, and how to do this and that. If we do not achieve in making very clear to the powerful in politics and in military that there is a personal responsibility for them, then everything will stay on paper and not come into reality. He was very right in that. And it took quite a lot of years, of decades, that the International Criminal Court could start. Now it has started, and he has made quite a lot of impact. If you read, let's say, the judgments, and if you look into the international law, let me give you only the example of the children and the child soldiers, then you could see it has an impact. And I'm absolutely convinced that if we try to support them much more, not only we, not only you, but politics as well, then it might be possible. And I know that the General Assembly does support them, so the restructuring of the UN system is a very, very valid point. Let me add what I want to say. You see, Ben Ferenc was a big model for us, of course. But I'm absolutely not of his opinion in the small discussion with Joanna about kid soldiers, because I think they are both. Of course, they are perpetrators, they are criminals, but they are victims as well. Yeah. And we cannot forget that. And I know that, that Marcus and Michele, they are planning a second movie about child soldiers. I think this is most important to help, to support the ICC, and let's say that the law is stronger than power.
Yeah. Okay. Just to.
I want also to add something, because when we started that film, and I started with that anecdote that we went to The Hague and the taxi driver even didn't know where the court was. When we were having a first film out, it was called The Court. We had a lot of screenings, and we could see in those screenings that the audience had a very realistic feeling towards the court, so they were pretty uninterested because they thought this court is only prosecuting African people, African presidents, and this court has probably no teeth, it's a teethless tiger, and so on. So even though we thought it's such a thriller documentary, people were not that interested. Now, 10 years forward, that changed totally because suddenly we see these wars are coming nearer to us. I mean, it's a discussion about war and peace, and suddenly it's not only about these African people. And I loved when you said, even in Sudan, there's 2.5 million victims. So I always thought the court is also very important, even though the mighty countries are not taking part. But now suddenly that discussion is starting with an arrest warrant against President Putin, with a looming arrest warrant against Netanyahu and the Hamas leaders. Suddenly the mighty state leaders are in danger, and they're fighting against it. So it is changing. That court suddenly is there, but it needs to be perceived as neutral by the whole world. And the taxi driver in the film is very important for that, because he's putting his finger in the wound actually here, because he's saying the court is only accepted by the world if both the global South countries and the collective West or the global North countries are accepting it. And this is exactly happening right now. So the one side, they are complaining now that there's an arrest warrant against Putin, and the other side is complaining that there's an arrest warrant against Netanyahu. So you can see how much suddenly that court is important. And it may become much more important in the future.
Liebes Podium, liebes Publikum, ich glaube, wird spät, 20 nach 10. Ich würde sagen, vielleicht bearbeiten wir noch 2 Fragen aus dem Publikum und beschließen dann den Abend. Wäre das für euch in Ordnung?
Nö, wir sind gerade richtig drin. Nee, alles gut. Also ich hätte jetzt noch eine Frage gesagt, aber gerne, dann nehmen wir noch lieber die Fragen aus dem Publikum. Ich entschuldige mich beim Livestream. Eure Fragen werden wir auch noch beantworten, aber dann schriftlich. Also gerne noch 2 Fragen aus dem Publikum.
Yes, hello. My name is Lara. I'm 21 years old. My blood contains the legacy of the brutality of white supremacy. My mother escaped the Iraq invasion. My dad escaped Syria war. Victims of money, greed, and power. My questions are, how come there have been no reforms in the ICC after the Iraq invasion regarding who to prosecute in front of the court, abolishing all necessities of bureaucracy and prosecuting war criminals, no matter if they want it or not, or if the countries are signed in or not? The ICC rules based on international law, and it is shameful to humanity that Bush and Obama are still walking around freely after what they did, especially at what happened at Abu Ghraib prison, as we have seen in the movie. Can you give hope to people like me who doubt the usefulness of the ICC and the UN, who don't see any point in these international bodies after every single Security Council veto that fails to protect civilians, or ICC verdicts that doesn't get war criminals behind bars like Netanyahu? How can we create change? Thank you.
You had to keep the answer for me, my side. I understand your anger, but the world is, you are changing the world, and changing the world is not happening one day. And yes, the rules are the rules, and if Iraq is not the party, and if the US is not the party, and if Syria is not the party, ICC could do nothing. It's like asking a German prosecutor to intervene in Madagascar. Nothing to do. It's the same. So these are the rules. So to change the situation, and I agree, we have to change the situation, we have to understand the rules and see how to intervene to transform the game. Okay, that is the answer for you. Yes, it's complicated, and I not guarantee success, but that's what we should do. Understand the rules, play the game, find the way to support. For instance, to transform the aggression crime is Christian Bernabester, one ambassador in charge, support him. To stop the Iranian war is different. It's about the leaders in Europe in particular, transforming the mentality and understanding NATO problems and making a different deal, a negotiation. So in Israel, Palestine, you have a problem with Hamas, you have a problem with Netanyahu and Ben Gvir. The Minister of Security in Israel is a guy who was rejected by the Israel army because he was an extremist. And this person is now the Minister of Security in Israel, and is the one.
Put Bush behind bars is my question, not about Palestine right now. How can we?
Well, I am explaining to you, the problem is, I'm sorry, the rules are the prosecutors and the judges have to follow rules. So Iraq, Syria are not under the ICC jurisdiction, and the biggest countries are not allowing the ICC to intervene. It's not ICC the problem. The problem is the biggest countries, how to transform that. That is the game. No one else can. But if you attack ICC, it's the only thing you have in your pocket, nothing else. So I'm not saying it's perfect. We have to see how to keep expanding, but it's about understanding the rules. And the rules are states are sovereign, the states sign treaties, and that is happening. So it's like you complain that the German prosecutor is not intervening in Iraq. It's the same. Why you not complaining that German prosecutor is not doing that? Because Germany cannot do it. Similar. ICC has no legal mandate to do it, cannot do it. And I know it's a disaster, Syria and Iraq, and I understand what you say about Obama. Yes, that's something we have to understand. Obama is a nice guy, but he was killing 8 times more people than Bush.
So when we, for example, expand the Statue of Rome, you think there will be prosecution of Obama, Blair, or Bush?
Sorry?
You think there will be prosecution of Obama, Blair, or Bush?
What?
When we expand the Statue of Rome?
Not in hindsight.
Not
in hindsight.
Okay.
No, because again, U.S. has a policy to have its army around the world, fighting wars around the world. So they don't like a prosecutor watching what they are doing. Even they attack the American prosecutors, investigating them. So U.S. does not like someone watching what they are doing.
To mention to the public, or to your audience, a couple of days ago, the House of Representatives, they just had a bill about sanction against officials of the ICC.
Not for the first time.
Not for the first time, but right now, if you, even family members, I heard, so if you're official of the ICC and you travel to the US, you get in problems, I guess. So so you're lucky that you're a former official.
No, I think it's a shame that the US Congress is trying to attack the court and not to protect Netanyahu. That is a shame, because Netanyahu is exposing Israel, in my point of view. Israel fell in a trap. On October 7, everyone was supporting Israel. Israel became problematic when they started to commit war crimes in Gaza. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not about against Israel. Israel has the right to defend itself, but they cannot commit crime and kill civilians.
Exactly.
And starve people. That's the problem.
Remember what Ben said? Revenge creates revenge.
War produces revenge.
We have to stop it. We have to stop it, yeah.
That's the point. So, but transforming the world is not something you do in one way and in one day. It's a huge, massive complexity, and that's why we have to understand the game.
Yeah, and that's why this movie is so important, and I would like to apply to you, please try to be multipliers, try to recommend this movie or talk to the people about war and justice or peace and so on. So last but not least, the last question for tonight from...
Yeah.
What's your name and how old are you?
Yeah, my name is Heike Hensel. I'm 58 years old already. And first of all, thank you very much for the film, because it really pushes now these debates we urgently need in the public. And I also would like to highlight the International Court in The Hague, because we are also currently witnessing that there are very important initiatives concerning Israel and the indictment of possible genocide, and from South Africa and from Nicaragua concerning Germany and arms export to Israel. And therefore, I really would address also these countries internationally, the global south, to support the idea of changing the ICC rules. I think this could be a very important step to get internationally more countries in this initiative. Tübingen is okay, but I think we should reach out to the world now for this initiative. And my question to Mr. Ocampo is, you explained that as your role as chief prosecutor, you were not able to investigate concerning Iraq war of aggression due to the ICC rules. But why did you not investigate concerning war crimes, British and US war crimes in Iraq war? Because there was evidence, as we can see, of the collateral murder video of WikiLeaks and so on. So this I do not understand. Thank you.
Okay. I agree with your first point. The International Court of Justice, a different court, is doing very important work, and I agree with you. South Africa and now Egypt are very important. And even, okay, Nicaragua is presenting a case against Germany. Germany is furious with that because Nicaragua is a dictatorship. But okay, I told Minister of Foreign Affairs of Germany, okay, but the court is not Nicaragua. The 15 judges are serious persons, so you have to explain to them if you are or not supporting a genocide there. So regarding my intervention in Iraq, when I started, the first thing I did, I opened a preliminary examination on British War Crimes Committee in Iraq. I did it. I requested information to them. They were, I can show you different media. The UK was unhappy with our pressure, but they finally conduct investigation. They show us the investigation they conducted, and then we say, okay, the information we have for now is okay. We are not opening new investigation. Then Fatou Bensouda find more information, and she opened a new preliminary examination to do cases. Finally, the British did something, and then she did not go ahead. So the court is there. The court is requesting the British to conduct investigation. We have reports from the British, different people in the British Army that they know that we're watching them. That not guarantee everything is perfect, but the court is doing this job in Iraq. So the problem is not the court. The problem is launching the war in Iraq. That's the problem. 250,000 people were killed in Iraq. Not many of them, supposedly no more than 30,000, victims of war crimes, but all of them victims of the crime of the war. So the main problem here is making wars. That, for me, is the main issue. Yes, the prosecutor should investigate the crime when we have jurisdiction. We try to do it. FATO tried to do it. You can agree or not disagree, but we try to do our job, and we know we have some impact there. But the real issue is stopping wars, stopping the interventions. That will eliminate the need to discuss how far we go to ICC.
Thank you very much.
Wait, I want to say something, because tomorrow, after tomorrow, and on Sunday, we are presenting 3 films: Heart of Jenin, Cinema Jenin, and After the Silence. And we will be there. Alex Bakri will be there. That's my Palestinian friend with whom I made all the films actually together. He was the translator in the Heart of Jenin film. Then we made the movie together in the Cinema Jenin cinema together, and After the Silence. And we will bring people from Palestine on Zoom, and you can discuss with us. So we are there every night after the screening. So come, and we keep on the discussion. It's a very complex situation in Palestine, and this time it's really all about Palestine and really information, what we went through. We were there like for 2, 3, 4 years, and so I just want to invite you, and we can keep on the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your patience and for your questions, of course. And you can watch this live stream, of course, on my YouTube channel as well. I guess on ours, on yours as well. And please recommend the movie, of course, and perhaps come tomorrow, come the day after, and recommend all your friends and family members to watch this movie and come to the cinema and ask you questions. And please be a multiplier for peace. And yes, thank you very much, everybody on the live stream as well as here in Tübingen. I'm honored and flattered that we had this historic moment, this historic panel with these legends here on this stage. I'm very grateful, and thank you, Marcus, for the opportunity to be the moderator on this great panel. So thank you very much, Mrs. Däubler Gmelin. Thank you, Luis Moreno Ocampo. Thank you, Marcus, and thank you, Michele, for your great movie. And thank everybody out there. Peace and love. Bye.